Hello art friends, my name is Fleshwad, and today I have 4 Valentine's themed creepypasta receipts for you. A Heart for a Heart, submitted by Odyssey's Stories. It was the week before Valentine's Day and me and my girlfriend were planning what we would do on the 14th. Valentine's Day, my favorite day. That was until she broke up with me the day before because of technical difficulties. I remember being so upset over her leaving that it drove me to insanity. Slowly but surely, I got there. I spent Valentine's Day alone with my cat. She seemed as upset about it as I was, but it can't be helped that neither of us wanted to be there. I frowned, feeling my anger rise deep in my chest. I can't remember what happened next. It was like a dream. Grabbing her by the neck and stabbing her until she couldn't move anymore. It was fantastic, but it wasn't enough. I had to do more. So I cut her heart out and gave it back to her, the one who broke my heart. She said it was over technical difficulties, but I know that this must bring her back to me. As the saying goes, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and a heart for a heart. Oh, how she screamed when I handed it to her. She was so appalled. Though she looked ecstatic, truly a confusing sight to see. She was crying tears of joy when I took her back. Now we spend every Valentine's Day together, from afar. I go where she goes, she tries to call the cops. It's a game we like to play with each other. She never wins. Valentines Day Revenge, submitted by Letty Mukami Art. Sarah was a 15-year-old girl who had long black hair and gray-green eyes. She wore a long white dress with black leggings and black Converse. She did her makeup in various colors of red. Her makeup made her look tired and almost dead. There was a boy at her school named Jake. He would always tease her and call her names like Freak and Devil Spawn. Some of her classmates even said that she looked like Samara from The Ring. Whenever she would look up at them, since her hair falls all over her face. Sarah had liked a boy named Lucas, who was friends with Jake. Sarah loved Valentine's Day. That Valentine's Day, her friend Ash was going to help her ask the boy she likes if he would be her Valentine. Ash soon walked into the park with Lucas. She walked by Sarah. Lucas stops and stares at Sarah. She looks up at him and hesitates. She opens her mouth to ask him, "Would you be my Valentine?" She hands him a rose. He continues to stare at her. He says, "Sure." Sarah smiled to herself, not knowing what he had in mind. Later that night, she goes to the park where she is to meet Lucas. She sees him walk towards her with another girl, one of the mean girls in her school, Catherine. They walk up to Sarah. Catherine pushes Sarah to the ground, while Lucas has a smirk on his face. "Oh, look, the freak of the school thinks someone would actually like her." She let out a shrill laugh. Tears run down Sarah's eyes. She gets up and runs away, looking back. While she looks back, she doesn't notice running into the woods. She trips over a tree root and tumbles down a steep hill. She hits her head on a large rock, getting knocked out. She ends up breaking her neck in the fall. The last word she remembers hearing is from the evil witch. "Oh, look, the freak of the school thinks someone would actually like her." 1 hour goes by and soon Sarah's eyes open. She gets up, looks around and starts walking. She heads to the outside of the woods. She sees Lucas and Catherine. They are heading to a party with lots of crashing and celebrating. She follows them to their destination. She finds an old broken mirror outside. She picks up a shard of glass. She looks at her reflection to see she has blood running from her eyes like tears, and her neck is purple from the break, and her eyes have no pupil or light to them. She clenches the shard in her hand. Sarah sees a tree next to her. She starts to climb it. She looks into the window. Next to her, she sees Catherine putting her makeup on. The window is open. Sarah climbs through it. Quietly, she enters the huge bathroom. Catherine doesn't notice her until she is behind her. Catherine turns around. Ugh, what happened to you, freak? She lets out another shrill laugh. Sarah just lets out an eerie giggle. Don't you know? Know what? Catherine demands questionably. That there's no Valentines for you. Sarah jams the shard of glass into Catherine's chest, right where her heart should be, dragging the shard through her heart. The last words she heard were Sarah saying, "How does it feel to have your heart broken?" She falls. Sarah lets out another giggle. She continues to climb out the window. It is said that if anyone gets their heart broken on Valentine's Day, the person who causes the heartbreak will be found with their heart cut open by something sharp. Heart Eater, submitted by Ren Will. I was taking a late night walk. I happened to look up and saw something jumping across the top of houses. Then it saw me. I ran into an alleyway. It jumped in front of me and said in a raspy whisper, "You can never get rid of me," and plunged its hand deep into my chest. The last thing I saw was it eat my heart. It's still out there, hunting for the innocent. I can only tell you one more thing before you suffer the same fate. Look up. Cupids Lovesick, submitted by Dummy Dog. Back when my nickname was still Sal, one of my most disturbing life happenings occurred. I don't quite remember when I made her. I was a lonely kid in high school and wanted nothing more than a girl to love. So one day, after a hard rejection, I decided to get up and make someone, a character if you will, that could quench my need for affection. I had sat down at my dimly lit desk and came up with 1,000 designs, but ended up settling on only one, my Cupid. Long ash blonde hair with choppy layers that curled like a flowing waterfall, a thin, straight pale body, draped in oversized sweaters and leggings, 2 tiny wings protruding from where her ears should be. The only thing I could never get quite right was the face, so that remained a faceless beauty all to my own. I suppose this probably wasn't very good for me looking back. I became reclusive and quiet, constantly thinking of my own beautiful Cupid. My friends slowly left me one by one due to my distant nature. I didn't notice. I stopped participating in sports, let my body go. I didn't notice. Things started getting more and more out of hand, until one day where I had skipped school because of my daydreaming. I lost all track of time and informed nobody of the situation. The next day, the one friend that stood by my side through everything, Felix, sat me down and explained his thoughts and issues with what happened the day before. Because of my more recent reclusive nature, he had grown more and more concerned for my mental health. So when I went absent for a day unexpectedly, he guessed the worst. This started putting everything in perspective. Cupid was consuming my life. I wasn't even really living. After that day, I stopped daydreaming as much. Of course, with my slips and tumbles. My grades went back up. I rejoined clubs, made new friends, even got a girlfriend. And oh, she was beautiful. Thick black hair that flowed beautifully down to her shoulders, despite the chlorine damage from her pale swimmer's toned body. Freckles graced every inch of her, and we had the deepest love imaginable. Her name was Harlow. Despite both of our casual athletic nature, we still spent much more time together than the average couple. Partying, swimming, and doing schoolwork, you name it, and the both of us would be there. That's why when she didn't turn up one night to the Super Bowl party Felix had been planning for a while, my paranoia overtook my senses. She never did pick up the phone that night. All of my friends told me to calm down, have a drink or two. We were 18 now after all. I had a few too many and ended up stranded at Felix's. When Harlow still didn't answer my calls in the morning, I went to her parents to see if she had still been home. No, they said. I thought she was with you. My baby isn't with you? The search lasted nearly 2 months, but I stopped looking long before then, because exactly a week and a day later, on the 14th of February, is when I found out what happened to her. I still remember the nightmare I had in the early morning of Valentine's Day. Harlow had been lost in the state park woodland. All around her, wherever she went, were these strange deformed doves. Some had 3 legs, others only had 1 wing. My least favorite ones had countless numbers of eyes. It was bright, but the thick fog obscured anything too far away. Harlow was in the center of a clearing, weeping on a fallen tree. As I watched on, unable to move from behind the camera in my mind, I noticed the noises of the doves getting louder and louder. They began to fly down and claw and bite at her. It wasn't long before they broke flesh, and then bone. I was forced to watch on as they ripped her apart. The only thing left in contact by the end was her bloodied, freckled face. I'd woken up in a cold sweat creaking in my room, and my window opened. I reached up behind my bed to close it, but before I could fully shut it, I noticed that the screen was cut. "Sal," someone said, their voice sickly sweet. Slowly, I turned to see a girl sitting at the edge of my bed, with choppy ash blonde layers, an oversized sweater, 2 tiny white wings protruding from her head, and a perfectly blank face. Harlow's swimsuit was clenched between her fists. Happy Valentine's Day, Sal. And that is all of the Valentine's Day Creepypasta OCs submitted by you guys. Feel free to submit any themed creepypasta in the comments below, and you can still submit actual drawings to my email, fleshrodyt@gmail.com, and expect the next creepypasta or OC video on next Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for tomorrow because I have a special Valentine's themed video for you guys. Until the next video, bye!